Oh, hey, didn't see you there. It's Norm here from Tested, and today I want to talk about the Apple Vision Pro and give a little bit of an update on it. It's been a while since Apple released this headset. It's been a while since I published my review for it, a couple months now. And as I said in that evaluation, that was more of a snapshot in time. We knew things would be changing fast. Developers would finally be getting their hands on the headset, experimenting with it, releasing new games, new experiences, and as users, we'd be finding out what the best things we could do with this. And Apple would be releasing updates as well. In fact, WWDC is right around the corner. I will be attending, and I'm really excited for what Apple might be announcing for the next version of Vision OS. But one of the things that they did release, surprisingly, was a thing I asked for, which is what you're looking at right now. This is my spatial persona. It's their avatar. Now, when they first launched these personas, they were locked in these rectangular tiles. You could do FaceTime calls, and you can see this virtualized version of me that I scanned using the headset, but it was kind of like being in the phantom zone. With spatial personas, I'm in someone's physical space. I'm doing a phone call, a FaceTime call right now with Jeremy, and I'm in his actual location. Yes, kind of like a ghost with hands and a floating head, but it's a more embodied social experience. And this really feels like a glimpse of what telepresence could be like in the future when more people have these headsets. Right now, 5 of us could be in here. We could be sharing, watching a web page together, watching a movie together, playing a game, or even interacting with a 3D model like this. And I think it's one of the best things that you can do in Vision Pro right now. I'm also finding that my use cases for Apple Vision Pro have really refined and evolved to a few specific tasks. I'm not using this for everything I use my computer to do, and also rarely using it even screen mirroring my MacBook. What I am using it for, the vast majority of the time I'm in the Vision Pro, I'm using it to watch media, to watch content, whether it's the immersive video that Apple is rolling out, which is so incredible, VR 180 video that's really well directed, or just stuff I could buy off of Apple TV or the other streaming services. I love winding down, sitting on the couch, putting on a headset, and watching a movie that I love or haven't seen and feel like it's in a real theater environment, a real cinema environment, bigger than my OLED TV or even a projector I could ever have at home. But today, I also want to specifically talk about games, because when Vision Pro launched, honestly, it wasn't a great gaming machine, and we didn't really expect it to. I mean, there are no track controllers, you don't get haptics, but we had high hopes. But what came out at launch was more like the mobile gaming experience. Thankfully, there are a bunch of high-profile releases that have come out that I want to talk about lately. We've had Job Simulator and Vacation Simulator, kind of classic goodies and oldies in the VR space. We also have Demio, one of my favorite VR games I love playing on the Quest platform, also ported over to Vision Pro. And finally, there's What If, an immersive story from ILM Immersive and Marvel Studios that puts you in kind of an interactive story in a stylized version of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So let's talk about those today, starting with What If.
So first off, What If isn't really a game. You can think of it as a roughly 1 hour long interactive story, kind of like a long Disneyland attraction. You're participating in an episode of Marvel's What If series in so much as the characters like the Watcher and Wong talk directly to you and involve you in the story, but for much of it you're also just watching scripted scenes of action or animated segments of What If created just for this experience. You're a chosen hero of the multiverse, given access to Infinity Stones to wield across story chapters that reveal characters like Thanos, Red Guardian, and Hela in scenarios that differ from what we've seen in the MCU. The experience uses hand tracking to give you powers like a shield, telekinesis, and a power blast, but the interactions are very rudimentary and have plenty of aim assist. None of the gestures are complicated, and they hold your hand through it all, which feels more like a designed choice to simplify things rather than a limitation of the hand pose detection of Vision Pro's hand tracking. There's definitely noticeable latency between your hand movements and the powers tracked to your arm, but one thing I really love was the effect of these animated rings and powers that float around your real hands and arms. I found it truly mesmerizing. bring them close to my face just to watch the tiny animations. In fact, the best part of the experience were the visuals, both the fully immersive scenes that fill your entire field of view, as well as the mixed reality scenes with characters in your actual space looked fantastic, rendered vibrantly in high resolution to make the most out of the graphics capabilities of the M2 processor, the resolution of the micro OLED panels, and the quality of the pass-through video. Seeing the watcher tower high in my living room and being able to walk around long while the characters maintain eye contact with me gave them a sense of presence that I haven't felt with other mixed reality games. The sharpness of the graphics made them feel way more believable than characters I've seen in other MR experiences. And I've heard that ILM Immersive's team built this using their own implementation of Unreal Engine that gives them access to Reality Kit's pass-through video. And to be honest, I wish more of the experience was in mixed reality instead of being fully immersive VR. The experience is short though, with just enough story beats to introduce characters, give me a taste of the action, and play out a plot twist that leaves me wanting more of this game, more of the mixed reality. It doesn't have that replayability that ILM's Vader Immortal did with the Lightsaber Dojo, for example. I also can't imagine it was cheap to develop this experience, and since it's free right now, I have no idea what it means for ILM Immersive's future plans for Vision Pro content, but big thumbs up for What If, an immersive story. Moving on to Job Simulator and Vacation Simulator, which are more like traditional VR games. In fact, they're ports of what we would consider now the classic VR games, both fully playable with just hand tracking. And if you've played Job Simulator or Vacation Simulator before, they're the same games here with all the updates that Alchemy Labs has made since launch, so no gameplay surprises here. But a few things worth noting. One, hand tracking in Vision Pro for these games works pretty well for interactions. What Alchemy has done with the input data that Vision Pro provides lets you do much more than just the tap and pinch gestures that you do in Vision OS. You can grab objects, throw them, throw a paper airplane, you can turn knobs with just your fingertips. You can reach behind you to grab a backpack, which acts as a menu. Things that you would take for granted in the real world, but are actually non-trivial to make feel right and natural in VR. That's what they got right here. The latency of Vision Pro's hand tracking still bugged me though, and I find the locomotion mechanic of tapping your palm with your fingertips to move between nodes still somewhat clunky. Visually, I was also a little disappointed, not by the aesthetics, but by the render resolution. I'm used to playing these games at full resolution, maximizing the display panels on PC VR, but on the Vision Pro, with the higher resolution of the micro OLED panels and what they've chosen to render the games at here, you can notice the lower render target of these games with subsampling and dithering and just kind of fuzziness all around. It definitely doesn't make the most out of, I think, the rendering power or the visual potential of Vision Pro. And as a fully immersive VR game for Vision Pro, it's also hindered by Vision OS's limitations. You're bound to a 1.5 meter by 1.5 meter play space, if no room scale here, and if you walk out of that, then the real world fades in and the game pauses. And if you recall, Job Simulator's levels were spaced out and arranged based on your initial room scale setup. With no room scale in Vision OS, all the game environments felt a little bit cramped. There's also no mixed reality, and that's something I think maybe could have helped with the rendering or with the feeling of the game being cramped. And I'm not sure if Alchemy had any plans on making a mixed reality version, but I could see that being really fun, being able to play in the kitchen or the office space of Job Simulator, but not needing to render out the background environments and being able to see your real play space. That's what I kind of wanted out of this in Vision Pro. Finally, Demio, a game I've spent hours and hours in both PCVR and Quest. And I'm disappointed to say that Resolution Games' implementation of Demio in Vision Pro is sorely lacking. First, there's no true mixed reality mode. There's an option for a windowed mode that plays the game on a flat screen interface with pass-through, but the 3D game table I'm used to doesn't work with mixed reality, only in a fully immersive implementation, which is super frustrating. Additionally, the game's render target feels lower than that of Demio on Quest 3, and you can't use something like Quest Games Optimizer to force it to render closer to Vision Pro's native resolution. Like with Job Simulator, that lower render fidelity is distracting to me. Finally, the hand tracking here is both laggy and imprecise. I had difficulty moving characters in the dungeon and even doing basic things like tossing the game dice. I had high hopes for Demio and Vision Pro, and the game's best implementation is still definitively in PC VR or over Quest Link. Heavy sigh.
So my big takeaway from these recent high-profile releases is gaming still isn't that great on the Apple Vision Pro. It's a combination of the lack of having physical controllers and the immediate responsiveness, the passive haptics, just buttons that have made games in VR headsets in the past work so well. Not having that and forcing developers and users to use hand tracking seems to be a limitation. And games like Job Simulator and Vacation Simulator have embraced that and made hand tracking a priority, but without thumbsticks for locomotion, for example, everything just feels a little slower, a little clunkier. And for a game like Demio, you can really see the limitations of not being able to walk around your space in a fully immersive game, or the developer not being able to tap into things like pass-through while using their own renderer to make the most of the displays and the pass-through abilities of the Vision Pro. Now, what if an immersive story feels like they tapped into something more interesting? Even though it's not really a game, the interactivity is very lightweight, you're more leaning back and watching these cutscenes play out, it really looked great, and it seemed to have the right balance of letting you get involved in the story, getting eye contact with these characters and seeing them at full resolution, great graphical detail in your own space, I think was pretty powerful as well. So mixed reality gaming seems to be the path that I'm most interested in. I'd like to see more of, as short as that experience was. And if there are any mixed reality games or fully immersive games that you've been playing on Vision Pro that you've really enjoyed or that you're working on, don't hesitate to reach out and leave a comment in the comment section below. And if you're going to be at WWDC, please look for me and say hi. I'll be walking around and eager to talk to people working on Vision Pro experiences. But until then, until I'm able to report from WWDC later this month, thanks for watching. I'm Norm, and I'll see you next time. Bye.